dino na nama Anambra di kwana Biafra land Biafra land di banyo Ebe chukwu kere ka ibirino Biafra land di mo Obodo chukwu goziri na gozi Ebe ukengala Ebe chukwu kere wenyanyo Biafra land di atomugum Kaina mano danyo Anye gada wanda usonu Anye kemenu nda usiwa Maka no mane suanyo Anye gada wanda usonu Iyatago Anye gechukwa usa Sibwa usa Zobwa usa Sibwa Zobwa Zona Anye gechukwa usa Sibwa usa Zobwa usa Sibwa Zobwa Zona Ekene chukwa biama Ekene o Chukwa biama mo Ekene chukwa kikeme Ekene o Chukwa kikeme Chukwa biama mo Chukwa kikeme Ekene otito jejama Yadirigi chukwa biama Chukwa kikeme Anye na sege mama Maka neto dike na nkomereme Ike gadi mozo Ekele onya kide na nkogwora Kwonyo so hoge tinejara We the indigenous people of Biafra We cannot thank you enough For all you done for us Anye na sege mama Biafrans in Malaysia Anye na sege mama Biafrans all over Asia, Anye asige mama. Biafrans in Europe, asekwa mukelegio. Maganeto dike nanko mereme, ike gadi mozo. Biafrans in America, asokwa simkelegio. Biafrans in Australia, hana turuge mama. Our amiable director, Nnamdi Kanu. Onye chukwu zitere nye Biafra Ona atụrụ gị mama Atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo Ona atụrụ gị mama Maka atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo Ona atụrụ gị mama Maka atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo Ona atụrụ gị mama Maka neto dike na komereme Ike gadi mozo Ekele dike na komereme o Ike gadi mozo Ekele chukwa biama Ekele o Otito Ekele chukwa biama Ekele o Ekele o Otito Ekele o chukwa biafra Onye nwere ntị nụrụ ọnụ Onye nwere ntị nụrụ ọnụ Ụmụ Biafra ka m na-akpọnụ Ka anyị natabi odozi obodo anyị Obodo ebe Chukwu nyere anyị Ebe onye nyere anyị ka ebe webiri nọ Una nukwa Hausa n'ime ngini Ka anyị nata dozi obodo anyị nọ Enote m ndị nụrụ anya ha 1967 to 70 Ndị nụrụ agha gbanwe Onu hagamu na nono Ekufa nako mbe wanono Ekufa nako oke wanono Ekwa unako munimi simo Ekwa uneme mono bia morio Anasi olembe Muna wanemje Nagukuta nuzobwe wande Anasi olembe Muna wanemje In the life of Professor Denibo, Ani Nekelegio,
for keeping him alive today. Anyị na-atụrụ gị mama maka na eto dike na ka o mere eme ike ga-adịghị m ọzọ. Atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka nye na-atụrụ gị mama maka na eto dike na ka o mere eme o ike ga-adịghị m ọzọ agbanwe dike izu agbara ya. Anyị na-atụrụ gị mama atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka Chuka Boza ọ sịkwa mụ kelee gị o atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo ọ na-atụrụ gị mama mụ kelee gị o maka na eto dike na ka o mere eme o ike ga-adịghị m ọzọ. Ekele onye aka dị na nke ọgwọrọ onye ọzọ hụ ga-etinyejara. Ekele dịrị gị eze m otito dịrị gị Chukwu abịa ma o maka ole rụrụ anyị rịka o anyị na-atụrụ gị mama. Prince Osueke Victor Dunga one of Malaysia ọ sịkwa mụ kelee gị o ọ na-atụrụ gị mama. Ọhagwachi nọsọ eke ọ sịkwa mụ kelee gị o maka na eto dike na ka o mere eme o ike ga-adịghị m ọzọ. Arịwa nze na-ekele gị o ọ sịkwa mụ kelee gị o mụ onwe mgbadansi nwoke eji m ekele wee bịa o Chukwu abịa ma Chukwu okike mee anyị na-atụrụ gị mama maka na eto dike na ka o mere eme o ike ga-adịghị m ọzọ. We want to be free. We want to be free. I said we want to be free. We want to be free. Is it a crime to be free? I'm asking the world this question. We want to be free as a nation. We are calling the United Nations to support our freedom, to support Biafra freedom. We are calling the world leaders to support our freedom. We are calling all of us for freedom to come for Biafran aid. We want to be free as a nation. We want to be free as a nation. We are calling the European Union to support our freedom. We are calling the African nations to support our freedom. We are calling the African leaders to support Biafra freedom. Ekele Chukwu Abịama, ekele Chukwu Okike, ekele Chukwu Biafra. Ekele Chukwu Abịama, ekele Chukwu Okike, ekele Chukwu Biafra. Anyị na-enye gị mama atụrụ gị mama Mr. Antonio Bilo ọ na-atụrụ gị mama ọ na-atụrụ gị mama Mr. Chinonso Nwadike ọ na-atụrụ gị mama Mr. Uzo Chike Anyanwụ ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka na eto dike na ka o mere eme ike ga-adịghị m ọzọ. Ekele onye aka dị na ka ọ gwọrọ ọgwụgwọ onye ọzọ hụ ga-etinyejara. Ekele ho ekele otito ya dịrị gị eze. Ekele otito ya dịrị gị eze m Chukwu okike m.
We, the indigenous people of Biafra, God, we are grateful for giving us that great nation called Biafra, the land of the rising sun, led by our amiable director, Dr. Nnamdi Kanu, the chosen one, and all editorial board of Radio Biafra. We are calling all Biafra living all over the world to come out. Let's build our great land, the great Biafra. There we worship Chukwu Abiyama, Chukwu Okiga, the Lord that created heaven and earth. In Jesus' name, amen.
mangulamu. Eastern Security Network. Opaha no romweha. Ndami bulogo ebiaba. Ndene chendi bonche. Opaha no romweha. Ndami bulogo ebiaba. Manobu gini kai na nuzi. Ndami hano no so. Obu gini kai na nu. Ndami hano no so. Akwonyo buna no no so. Ndami hano no so. Ndami bike jene jene jene. Ndami bike jene jene jene. Ndami ejebe. Ebusizi enu ndami umu wajana tonyuta brother mo. Mekuge melonu. Ekwanu gi na meloti akuko tike na rife ni dove. Eastern Security jisie ni ike n'olu. Ndene chendi bo jisie ni ike n'olu. Fame kwenu mana mmeri bụ nke anyị. Ife salụ fame anyị enwe mmeri. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị ka na-akọzi ifenu? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Onye mana nwa gị aka n'ọdụ. Onye mana nwa gị aka n'ọdụ. Onye mana nwa gị aka n'ọdụ. Odindo mangulamu. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị na-eme n'ọlụ? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị na-eme n'ime obodo? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị na-eme n'ọlụ? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Chukwu okike abịa amaghị. Amama amasị amasị. Anyị ma ndị nọ n'ọlụ. Isike n'ụlọ magie n'oge ikele anyị. Isike n'ụlọ magie n'oge ikele anyị. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Kedu ife na-eme n'ọlụ? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị ka na-akọzi? Ndami ha nọ n'ọsọ. Webrutu bekene mụ ka nje kenezi ọha madike Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Ifi na-eme dolo gị anya. Ifi na-eme dolo gị anya. Ọrụ na-alụ dolo gị anya. Ọrụ na-alụ dolo gị anya. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Isi ekwu ike n'ọlọma gị anyị so gị n'azụ. Isi ike n'ọlọma gị anyị enwe mmeri. Isi ike n'ọlọma gị ife na-eme dị anyị mma. Obi agbawala ndị bịara ibusi ụmụnna anyị. Ndami bike jene jene jene. Ndami bike jene jene jene. Ndami ejebe. Ebusizi enu ndami ụmụ owe jana atụ onye ụta brada mo. Nekwuge kwumelọnụ. Ekwanụ gị na melụ ntị ọkụkọ ntị ike na n'ife n'itofe. Aka mbụkwa nwannu nwoke Samuel Nwannaka. Ọ ga-adịrị unu na mma. Wedikwale m. Ụmụ Chukwu okike abịa ma. Ka were ofu obi anyị ga-enweta ife anyị na-achọ nwanne. Awụzie n'ofu obi anyị ga-enweta ife anyị na-achọ. Expect for it.
them Biafra. Take your full country, give them Oduduwa. Take your animal kingdom, give them Biafra. Animals. Take your royal Niger and give them Oduduwa. It's a fake nation, fake country. I'm a soldier, Biafra. Biafra soldier. Where the soldier? My brothers, where are you? Oduduwa. I'm a soldier. I am a soldier. Biafra. Proudly Biafra soldier. Oh, I am soldier. Urban youth soldier. Oduduwa. You are a soldier. You have to fight. For freedom. We have to fight. You have to fight. I have to fight. I will fight for my freedom. We have to fight for freedom. We have to fight. Arise and shine. To breathe in. You can't save me forever. Slave masters, Britons are murderers. You are a murderer. Britons are criminals. Britons are criminals. Killed Africa. Still killing Africa. They are killing Africa. Looting. Britons are criminals. Britons are murderers. You have to fight for I will fight and win. We have to fight for freedom. We have to fight. You have to fight. You have to fight. I have to fight. Northerners are not cowards. We have to fight for freedom. We must fight and win. Fight and win. Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Rivers, Benue, Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, Imo. We are all Biafra. Shout out to all Oduduwa tribe and love and for freedom. To every freedom fighter, special respect for the leader of IPOB worldwide, legendary massive movement in the whole wide world. The person of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, respect Sojo, Eastern Security Network. God bless. It's your boy Tony, Dokwa West.
Onye na-eso n'aka debe, onye na-achụ ma ihe na-achụ ya, onye na-agbọsị ma mmadụ ọsọ ya, iji ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya, iji ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya, ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eru, mgbugbo onye lụrụ ọma ịracha. Onye chiri biko nya zere o, ije n'ụwa na-atụzi m ụjọ, agwọ mfụlụ n'ụzọ eyi enu m eke o, ọ bụdo onye ka mụ ga ka ọ sabara maka ihe m hụrụ na-agba m anya mmiri. Ụmụ ụwa ga-enu m ntị n'olu, ajụjụ nya ka mụ jiri bịa o. Biko onye ka ị na-eso n'azụ, onye na-eso n'aka n'ebe, onye na-achị ma ihe na-achị ya onye na-agba ọsọ ma mmadụ ebe ọsọ ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eru mgbe onye lụrụ ọma ịracha
emenihe na mmadụ na-eme akara aka niile abụrụ ofu oke solo ngwere ma mmiri ọkọsị anụ ngwere ọ ga-akọkwa oke gbanụgbanụ ubuji eji otupula na-akwụba ọdụ ya onye anya ukwu ka ndị wayo na-ebu ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya mara onye na-enye gị ndụmọdụ mara onye na-anụla okwu okenye bụkwa ihe dị mma isi awa bụghị amamihe onye nzuzu na-achị isi awa onye iberibe na-akapụ nka ndụmọdụ idulu onwe gị ka mma ọrụ ụdị enyi na-eme ọtụtụ ọyị bụ ọtụtụ nrafu one good head is better than 10 ka amarụju afọ ọdachi ụzọ ka m bụrụ ọnụ fụ ụzọ na ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya
biko onye ka ị na-eso n'azụ onye ị na-eso n'aka n'ebe onye na-achị ma ihe na-achị ya onye na-agba ọsọ ma mmadụ ebe ọsọ ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eru mgbe onye lụrụ ọma ịracha
onye na-eso maka na ọ bụ odogwu ịma ihe o ji bụrụ odogwu ịma ihe na-akụrụ odogwu egwu ị ga-agbanwukwa egwu ọ na-agba ị ga-achụnwukwa aja ọ na-achụ ị ga-ebunwe bidodogwu na-ebuo ịma yuru bilesisi oke ọchịchọ ka mmadụ ji anwụju nkechi nyere onye ya ju ya afọ ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eruo mgbube onye lụrụ ọmarịlata onye na-emenye ajisi ike ote aka ọ dị njọ ọ ga-adị mma chi jiri eji ga-eforere onye achụ n'ụwa n'ike ịchụbakwa ihe ịchụtara iburu onye ndidi bụ ya nwee mmeri aka na uche ka eji akpata ego ntụtụ ka eji atụju ụkpa o mekatara ma chi ekweghị bụ asịnụ biko mebechi gị ga-ekweriri ome mma ya na mma ya nanụ ome njọ ya na njọ ya na ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya nwaanyị na-ebe akwa n'oge ya agago ị na-afụkwa ndị ọgbọ gị ụfọdụ nwụrụ ma ha anụghị di ụfọdụ nwụrụ ma ha amụghị nwa ụfọdụ nụrụ di ha enweghị udo anụla di na ndị ọzọ na-anụ enekwa na mmadụ anya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eruo mgbube onye lụrụ ọmarịlacha
biko onye ka ị na-eso n'azụ onye ị na-eso n'aka n'ebe onye na-achị ma ihe na-achị ya onye na-agba ọsọ ma mmadụ ebe ọsọ ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eru mgbube onye lụrụ ọma ịracha biko onye ka ị na-eso n'azụ onye ị na-eso n'aka n'ebe onye na-achị ma ihe na-achị ya onye na-agba ọsọ ma mmadụ ebe ọsọ ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eru mgbube onye lụrụ ọma ịracha
nne na nna na-akparị ụmụ ha na ndị ọgbọ ha ewesiwe ego ọnọbụzi ka faje ezugbo oli akala aka niile abụla ofu onye na-asị nwa gị nere anya biko ọ na-aga n'ebe ọsọ na-agbị ma ihe na-achụ ya onye na-agba ọsị ma mba n'ebe ọsọ ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya o ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya o nke onye nwere nya jụ ya afọ oke abili na-ebute oli ntaji anya na-ebute ịma n'anya ajụla ajụla ozu ayala ya nwụọ okenye amaghị egwu ana bụ ntuo ototeruju emere ọfọ ji ya o meberuju ahara ọfọ ji ya ụbọchị niile bụ nke onye oli ofu ụbọchị bụkwa nke onye nwe ụlọ emekata sị na mmadụ anwụrụ ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ije n'ụwa niile bụ afịanụ onye zuru nke ya na onye ebu n'ụwa n'isi iburu ụwa n'isi onyigbo gị onye buru chi ya ụzọ onye ahụ agbagbo onwe ya n'ọsọ chi gị gbakọtara azụ nse gị eze n'ụlọ alụnụ onye dị ndụ nye aka emechi ya maka na ndụ bụ isinụ ọnwa egbughị je ejiri chụọ aja nwanne m ọ ga-ebuliri ome
biko onye ka ị na-eso n'azụ onye ị na-eso n'aka n'ebe onye na-achụ ma ihe na-achụ ya onye na-agba ọsị ma mmadụ ebe ọsọ ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eru mgbugbo onye ruru ọma ịracha onye ka ị na-eso n'azụ onye na-eso n'aka n'ebe onye na-achụ ma ihe na-achụ ya onye na-agba ọsị ma mmadụ ebe ọsọ ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na-achị ya ije ụwa bụkwa onye na nke ya ebe onye ọsọ lụrụ onye ije ga-eru mgbugbo onye ruru ọma ịracha
Indigenous. Righteous.
You will reap what you sow. 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 Iago, Polico. Igagolo, Polico. Iago, Polico, no way. Igagolo, Polico. Let your kingdom come. Let your kingdom come. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done on earth.
when you men anyway. We see them make what they get man no. And you find they get man no. Is on ya they get man no. I don't run like carry no. Let your kingdom come. Let your kingdom come. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done on earth.
Respectez yourself, Ivan Dash. For your peace, then to Lee's, Pranks Lee's, Fashi.
I rise and dance, oh, hey, well, I rise and dance, oh, hey, I rise and dance, hey, on a well,
Righteous.
we put rise, we would dance, oh, hey.
There is nothing more precious in life than freedom.
Your freedom is in your hands.
There is nothing more precious in life than freedom.
Your freedom is in your hands. I have come here as the commander of this revolution to let you know that we will defeat Cameroon. We will not only defeat Cameroon, we will make it impossible for Cameroon
There is nothing more precious in life than freedom.
Your freedom is in your hands.
There is nothing more precious in life than freedom.
Your freedom is in your hands. I have come here as the commander of this revolution to let you know that we will defeat Cameroon. We will not only defeat Cameroon. We will make it impossible for Cameroon again to ever invade our land.
Please state the appointed generation.
Fairness, justice. No chineke.
We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra. In the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra. In the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra. In the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra. In the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall conquer. We are soldiers fighting for freedom in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer. We are fighting for our motherland by the grace of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer. We are soldiers fighting for our rights in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer.
Come to Nadujo, Wago and area here. Ihamumuru or I read to go. Unyota Biarabia Nesia, we walk no go with you. With you. Heroes fight like Biafran soldiers. Here, Bunyota Mule. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer.
We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer. We are marching to our motherland in the name of Chukwuabiama. We shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra.
There is nothing more precious in life than freedom.
After the land of the freedom is in your hands. Fathers, in the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall take it the most. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra. In the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall conquer. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Biafra, hallelujah, hallelujah. People, in the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall conquer. We are soldiers, soldiers of Biafra. In the name of Chukwuabiama, we shall conquer. We are soldiers from the rising sun in the name of Chukwuabiama. ebe ka unu si Biafra gai mara po Biafra gawe boso kabiri gai mara po Biafra gawe boso kabiri Biafra is my home.
The river cannot flow through the forest without bringing down trees. My dear people of Biafra, for many years we have been folding our arms, hoping that Biafra will come in a platter of big and honey called dialogue. What did we get in return? They killed our brothers, they raped our women, they beheaded our children, they bomb our churches when we go to worship to Guabiama.
To give chase after Fulani bandits and killers, after the must have sacrificed. Why are they not doing it?
And we are going to see Biafra.
I don't know, sometimes they say God made man in his own image. In other words, He's given us the ability to be able to reason and to discern. And I'm asking you this evening, for those who are listening to, I'm asking you, have you ever actually sat down? It's not difficult. I'm not asking you to do a very difficult analysis of a complex situation or an equation. Very simple. Ask yourself, this village has been attacked by Fulani. That village, why don't they deploy helicopter gunships to go and look for them? Have you ever heard before that after an attack on a village by Fulani headsmen, that the police gave them chase on the army? Have you ever heard that before? Simple question. I'm putting this question to all the chief justices and judges of all the Biafran states. Those of you holding Biafrans, sending them to Abuja to be killed by Fulani Janjaweed. I'm asking you a simple question. All these years you've been hearing about Fulani headsmen attack in this village, in that village. I am asking you. Every time I am asking you, all the time. Every time you hear about all these things, have you ever heard that the 82 Division Enugu are now chasing those headsmen that came to Zowag and killed people? Have you ever heard after the massacre in Bende that somehow or half mobilized, Obi is mobilized? Have you ever heard that headsmen are being pursued by the army or the police after an attack in the village? It's a simple question. Any day you can get your brain around this. Any day, believe you, any day you sit down and you think about what I've just said now, you hate Nigeria more than I hate Nigeria. A land brimming with hypocrites, unrepentant hypocrites. Unrepentant hypocrites, evil
An
people.
anti-colonial revolutionary TV.
Army are busy attacking villagers, defending themselves.
Welcome to Ambazonia Communication Network, the most educational and anti-colonial revolutionary TV in sub-Saharan Africa. This primetime event will begin momentarily. We urge our viewers to stand by.
There is nothing more precious in life than freedom.
Your freedom is in your hands.
There is nothing more precious in life than freedom.
Your freedom is in your hands.
None of you can think and ask yourself, there is nothing more precious in life than freedom. Fulani killers, that what they are doing is legitimate. That's what you're saying by your silence. That's what it means. That is why when I read Zoo newspapers, when I read their commentators or people talking about Nigeria, I laugh at them. Do you know why I laugh at them? Because they are very, very foolish. I have never heard before that the army attacked any camp run by bandits. I have never heard that. I have never heard that helicopter gunships went looking for Fulani terrorists. Never, ever before. Maybe against Boko Haram, because Boko Haram is killing them. That's all. Now ask yourself why that is the case. Any day you answer that question, believe me, you despise the zoo more than I do. These are the things you need to understand. These are the things that you need to know. about your stupid one Nigeria. That is why I keep saying when I see somebody talk, I'm a Nigerian, one Nigeria. Believe you me, you are beneath an animal. You are the greatest fool. I can't even stand you. Because you're foolish. Irredeemably foolish. I'm asking you a simple question. Have you ever heard before that Fulani, have you ever heard before that after the attack at Ozuwani, after the attack on the Ebonyi villages, did you hear that the army are now chasing those people that came and killed innocent people? The answer is no. All you do is you lament, you can sit down. When we formed ESN to stop such rubbish, or some of you idiots were complaining, then you never blame the Fulani for coming to kill your people. No, you won't blame them. Look at Dave Umahi. Talking like a fool. Talking like a fool.
Willing.
Dave, talking like an idiot.
And when you are willing and not afraid anymore
I
to
love
pay
you,
the price
I'm in
for
love with
freedom.
you.
Don't let this white man tell you that violence is wrong. Every damn thing that he got it by being violent. Killing people, raping and robbing and murdering. He's doing it as we speak. And then he has the nerve to come and tell us that violence and hatred won't get it. Don't buy that. He's worthy to be hated. Worthy because of the evil that he does. God hates. I don't know why man think you're better than God when God in the Bible said he loved Jacob, but he hated Esau. In the Bible, he said no man can serve two masters. He'll love one and hate the other. They have made...
They are your so-called leaders. Are these the leaders you will go to war with? Are they going to defend you when the Fulani come killing you? Or when they will come to your village? They are killing us anyway. When they now enter your... Are you trusting these idiots to defend you? You call your governors? I'm asking you a simple question. Do you trust them to defend you? The answer is no. There was an attack at Teleme. Fulani came and killed our mothers. Our mothers were protesting at Teleme.
Nigeria. The people of Biafra briefly enjoyed a spell of independence between 1967 and 1970 when they unilaterally declared secession. However, this move resulted in a deadly civil war that killed almost 2 million people, most of whom were young children who died of starvation. Despite the promise of no victor, no vanquished treatment at the end of the war, Biafrans have consistently and systematically been subjected to economic, political, and social strangulation by Nigeria. More than 50 years after the war, the circumstances that led to it are still prevalent, as ethnic tensions are still not resolved. These issues have over several years led to marches, protests, and demonstrations with the demand for a full self-rule for the region. The leader of IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, now holds the mantle to restore that which is rightly theirs, an independent state of Biafra. To the east of Mazi Kanu's ancestral land is that of his newfound partner, Dr. Cho Ayaba, a citizen of the former British Trust territory of southern Cameroon's now called Ambazonia. This liberator, whose people have been battling the colonial state of Cameroon for more than 6 decades, have just entered the 5th year of active combat with its genocidal army. Southern Cameroon's Africa's first democracy that saw a complete peaceful transfer of power after a free and fair election would not long after be violated of its right to self-rule. In violation of international law under Article 4B of the African Union Constitutive Act that froze its boundaries as obtained at independence, Cameroon, on October 1961, marched an army of occupation and colonial administrators across international borders into Ambazonia, a former British Trust territory of southern Cameroons, and have been in colonial occupation till this day. Cameroon would gradually dismantle Ambazonia's political institutions to the extent of annihilating Ambazonia's world-class democratic structures, As prognosticated by a 1972 wire now declassified from the U.S. Embassy Yaoundé to the White House, resentment grew among the people of Ambazonia. By the late 90s, various Ambazonian emancipation movements had been formed, and the voices that clamored for full independence were suppressed just as huge mineral deposits were discovered by France, French Cameroon's colonial master. This greed would spiral out for over 6 decades until 5 years ago, with the people of Ambazonia decided to fight back method for method. With so much historical justification for both the people of Biafra and their counterparts in Ambazonia, forming collaborative alliances to strengthen their resolve in and has been under consideration for a long time. Today, both leaders, and with the support of their respective citizens, are now set to speak for the first time about their groundbreaking relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ambazonian Communication Network will now like to welcome the host of this primetime event. Our hosts will then have the privilege to usher in their leaders, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, and Dr. Cho Ayaba, the leader of the Ambazonia Liberation War.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to this historic day. I am Simon Ekpa, an activist of the indigenous people of Biafra. Today, we are bringing to you a historic press briefing of 2 leaders. We are bringing to you this historic press briefing, and today history will be made. On this note, may I bring in these 2 leaders who have defied everything the corrupt terrorist African leaders has brought upon the people. May I use this opportunity to bring to the studio the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, the undefeatable leader, a man with 9 lives, the man who have defied all nature, defied all terrorist activities of the Nigeria government, the man who have made it possible for us today to be very resilient and very brave to request and agitate for the freedom of the people of Biafra. A man who defeated death. The day the Nigerian government invaded his house and shot dead almost over 100 people. Today, he is leading the world's most powerful movement for the freedom of Biafra people. He is the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. IPOB has become one of the world's most powerful movements for the freedom of indigenous people. The IPOB are scattered almost all over 120 countries of the world. Welcome, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Ohamadike of Biafra, to the studio.
Simon, and thank you all the wonderful people of Biafra listening and watching right across this very planet Earth. And also I welcome my dear brother, Dr. Cho, who is here with me today, and my greetings to the very resilient and resolute Ambazonian people. And I can assure each and every one of them that by the end of this very process, one outcome is inevitable. That is the liberation of our nations. I thank all of you once again, and I do hope that this evening will provide a very compelling insight into what we have in store for our respective peoples in terms of what we are doing to restore God's kingdom upon the face of the earth. That very part of this world that have hitherto been neglected. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome to the studio. To welcome to the studio the undefeatable leader of the Ambazonia Liberation of War, Dr. Cho Ayaba. Dr. Cho Ayaba have as well defeated all the terrorist governments in Cameroon. Today, he has given the opportunity for Ambazonians to be very resolute in their quest for freedom of their Ambazonians. Let me use this opportunity once more.
Thanks for having me. First, let me thank my brother, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, for taking this bold step so we can stand shoulder by shoulder and together to face the ultimate systems that have put our people under subjugation. I want to thank our people, Ambazonians, for showing their understanding to this alliance, and we will be speaking to their fears and aspirations and hope. To the great people of Biafra who have suffered tribulations and torment, I think as your leader has said, you are the appointed generation, and you will see Biafra. Thank you.
Dr. Cho Ayaba for that wonderful speech and opening speech. Now we are going to have a brief press briefing from both leaders. Like you know, this is a historic day as we move forward for the liberation of the Ambazonians and Biafra people. The generation of Ambazonia and new generation of Biafra on this day will make history. Let me use this opportunity to bring in the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Ohamadike one of Biafra.
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Ambazonia and Biafra, the national anthem of Ambazonia.
The Ambazonia, pledge our loyalty. Praises to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who brought along the gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Biafra and Ambazonia, the national anthem of the indigenous people of Biafra.
Land of the rising sun, we love and cherish. Beloved homeland of our brave heroes, we must defend our lives, or we shall perish. We shall protect us from all foes. But if the price is death, for all we hold in, then let us die without a shred of fear. Hail to Biafra, consecrated nation. O fatherland, this be our solemn pledge. Defending thee shall be our dedication. Spilling our blood will count our privilege. The wonder which emboldens the free shall always be our flag of
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Ambazonia, Biafra, and friends of the world, welcome to the joint press briefing between the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the leader of the Ambazonian Liberation War, Dr. Cho Ayaba.
Thank you very much, great people all over the world, the wonderful people of Ambazonia, my own flesh and my own blood, my own kith and my kin. It is a unique honor and privilege to share the same platform with one of your leaders, the leader of war of Ambazonia, Dr. Cho Ayuba, who is here today representing the aspirations, the wishes, and the hopes of Ambazonian people all over the world, and more critically, the leader of Ambazonia himself, the president, who is incarcerated in a prison in Yaoundé. A man I hold in great esteem and admiration. Our hearts, our prayers, our thoughts, and our hopes, of course, go out to him, and we do hope he will be released very, very imminently. My dear people all over the world, Biafrans and Ambazonians, we stand on the brink of history on this very day. Today is the 9th day of April in the year of our Most High Elohim 2021. It is a day that will go down in history, the history of Biafra and Ambazonia peoples, and indeed the history of Africa at large. As a day that our peoples came together with close ranks identified our common problems, and crystallize it in a speedy emergence of these very two nations. We Biafrans and Ambazonians have resolved from this very day to do what we must do and everything humanly possible to ensure that we change not only the narrative, but to begin the process of the eventual reclaiming of our long shared collective heritage, a shared heritage that goes back to the beginning of time. Today we are indeed on the brink of history. A lot of people never wanted us to get together. A lot of people never wanted us to identify with one another. Those who are benefiting from our misery and our pain, today we have reduced all of them to nothing. Because genetically and culturally, Biafrans and Ambazonians go back to the beginning of time as original peoples of southern Nigeria and southern Cameroon. Geneticists have sequenced and dated the DNA of Biafrans and Ambazonians and discovered them to be one of the oldest DNA on planet Earth. The earliest culture builders on planet Earth, known to archaeologists and anthropologists as the Bantu peoples of Africa, originated from within the regions of Biafra and Ambazonia. We are old people. We are the people of the ancient. From these very Biafran and Ambazonian regions, the Bantu homeland and the cradle of human civilization, the great Bantus migrations of 1500 BC to 2000 BC took place to introduce our collective civilizations to other corners of Africa and beyond. The history of our two peoples, Biafrans and Ambazonians, has indeed been intertwined and shared from time immemorial. Our forefathers were very much aware of this shared heritage and destiny of Biafrans and Ambazonians. And at different times in history, the coming together of Biafran and Ambazonian peoples under collective leadership and cooperation has produced radically rewarding results. We should perhaps mention a few examples here. Examples of the powerful and rewarding results that Biafra and Ambazonia partnership could produce, we are seeing in the liberation of Haiti, a former slave colony of the French between 1791 and 1804 through a historic revolution. Our people are noted because they are warriors. Ambazonians and Biafrans alike fought side by side as one people in Haiti that made Haiti the first black nation on this very earth to shake off the shackles of slavery and domination. This is the origin of such extant Haitian phrases as Igbo Gramon and Igbo Lele, as you have today in Haiti. Similarly, during colonial invasion and the subsequent colonization of these regions, which was nothing but a sophisticated form of slavery, our peoples, Biafrans and Ambazonians, fought colonial enslavement with everything they had. The exploits of Ekumeku, the secret society of freedom fighters in Biafra land that engaged the British invading colonialists for over 3 decades, is still very fresh in our minds. Again, it was to people from Biafra and Ambazonia that the burden of ending colonial occupation politically in the region fell on their shoulders. Hence, we have the activity of the Nigeria Council, the National Council of Nigeria and Cameroon, NCNC. Of course, well superintended by Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, which was coordinated by nationalists from Biafra and Ambazonia as reference in the anti-colonial movement that would produce the present Berlin Conference design states like Nigeria and Cameroon, which unfortunately Biafrans and Amazonians are suffering untold hardships under. The sufferings and pains of Biafrans and Ambazonians are carefully and diabolically designed neo-colonial schemes to ensure that our peoples, who are natural leaders of the black world, never develop or make any progress, consequently leading to the subjugation of the entire African continent in perpetuity. This diabolical neo-colonialist scheme has not succeeded because the colonial enslavers simply decreed it into existence. No, it was succeeding because some fellow black people or Africans decided to make themselves willing tools in the enslavement of the rest of their brothers and sisters, and this is something that we are determined to bring to an end. This trend is by no means a recent trend. It is indeed a trend that is as old as the Arab enslavement of Africans and will be perfected through the European enslavement and colonization through invasion of the rest of Black Africa. In Africa, there are groups whose whole economic existence and their worldviews have evolved around their collaboration with those who have no value for African lives and want to destroy Africans by every means. That is how the phenomenon of the Fulani terrorist proclivity have been created over the ages to destroy everything that is African. It is a proclivity that has engendered the existence of not less than 6 or 7 terrorist groups that are owned and operated by the Fulani people, terrorizing people and grabbing their lands across West African sub-region, as well as the areas bordering the entire Gulf of Guinea. It is a proclivity that has been enabled by some evil people, both outside and inside Africa. Both Biafrans and Ambazonians have been victims of this evil. And today, going forward, we have resolved to bring it to an end. Over the years, our grandfathers and our grandmothers have stomached this terrorist proclivity in the hope that it would go away somehow. But it's clear to all that after so much turning of the other cheek, because when they slap us on one cheek, we turn the other cheek for them to slap as well, and payment in blood, these bullies never ever became reasonable. Instead, it has emboldened them. This is part of the reason why Biafrans and Ambazonians are coming together this very day to confront our collective enemies together. We are also coming together to rediscover our shared biological and cultural heritages. Extant anthropological studies point to the cultural unity of Biafrans and Ambazonian peoples because we are one people. Anybody who is doubting us should please consult their genetic studies and DNA mapping, which point to a singular origin of both Biafrans and Ambazonians. It is therefore only logical that this day would come. We are grateful to Almighty God in heaven, for determining that this alliance must be formed so that God's own people will be set free, as only Him has decreed. We are indeed on the brink of history. So far, even though our struggles for freedom have had different trajectories, Biafrans and Ambazonians have a shared destiny. Our collective destiny is to once again lead the continent of Black Africa to achieve the type of civilization that humanity will marvel at, just like our Bantu ancestors did when they civilized the whole of the known world around them. In the coming days, we Biafrans and Ambazonians will be communicating to the world in sequence and as the need arises, our blueprint for cooperation, preparatory to the re-emergence of our nations, just like the Almighty God in heaven, Chukwukika Biama, has decreed. In this vein, I hereby welcome every Biafran, every Ambazonian to a new dawn of our shared destiny and collective leadership of our peoples to lasting freedom. Long live the Republic of Biafra. Long live the nation of Ambazonia. Thank you very much. And now...
Yes, sir, and that was a press briefing coming from our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. And let me use this opportunity to welcome the leader of the Ambazonian Liberation of War, Dr. Cho Ayaba. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks to my brother Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. We have assembled here today in front of our two peoples to declare our intentions to work together to ensure our collective survival from the brutal annexation that have occurred in our both nations. We understand the difficulties that both peoples, the people of Biafra and Ambazonia, have faced in the last 60 years. But we have been discussing in the past few months to ensure that our collective strength be brought together to be more impactful to ensuring that we do not bequeath to the next generation a more oppressed homeland than we inherited. The Ambazonia and Biafra alliance is critical in an area where Nigeria and Cameroon have established two autocracies that have used violence as a political tool to suppress our both peoples. Within Nigeria itself, you have in the north the Hausas and Fulanis who have cross-border relationships in Niger. In the west, you have the Yorubas with cross-border relationship into Benin. The people of Biafra have been denied access to Ambazonia. And we must recall that during the Biafran War of Independence, while countries like France, that is the highest investor today in Nigeria, provided support, countries like Ivory Coast, Norway, and others, the one country being ruled by a Fulani man that refused Biafra the opportunity to receive support to prevent genocide was Cameroon, because Ayijo, a Fulani man, preferred the domination that was exercised by the Fulanis from within Nigeria and Cameroon over the Biafran people. Ambazonia is the only access you have. And within Cameroon itself, while the people have relationship with Central African Republic and other countries, Biafra is our only closest neighbor with massive investment within Ambazonia. Biafra is also the place where thousands of our people have sought refuge and have been treated with great hospitality. And for this, I want to thank the people of Biafra who have taken care of our refugees, and I ask you to continuously support them. Going forward, we are going to work together in different areas to ensure that our both nations emerge from these exclusive servitude imposed by both Cameroon and Nigeria. In coming to this joint press conference, I understand the worries of Ambazonians, and I have taken time to brief other leaders to make sure that I can allay the worries and fears of our people. These worries and fears is rooted in history. We were part of the Eastern House of Assembly in Enugu. But one great difference is when our leaders walk out of that house, there were no helicopter gunships that mauled our people. Our people were not massacred because we chose to establish a capital in Boya. But in the last 4 years, we have observed with great dismay the rapacious policy of Cameroon, the tyranny of a system that is intended on governing Ambazonia without consent. And if I will be given a choice to make Biafra my friend or Nigeria my friend, I will understand that the state that kidnapped and renditioned hundreds of our people, who were then locked incommunicado, subjected to torture, brutality, and sentenced to life in jail, was not the people providing sanctuary to our people. If I will be given a choice between Nigeria and Biafra, I will recall the thousands and thousands of Biafrans who are part of our economy. I will recall history, that when we had a wonderful trade with Biafra, the port of Tiko was vibrant. The port of Victoria was vibrant. So too was the port of Port Harcourt and Calabar. But the Fulanese that have been governing Cameroon at that time dismantled our economic infrastructure and made it impossible for bilateral trade between our country and Biafra to take place, subjecting our population to impunity, making it impossible for any cross-border relationship. As you have said, we are one people, interculturally linked. But I also want to remind Ambazonians that I take your concerns seriously. That is why this alliance is split into 3 phases. First, to ensure that both peoples are liberated from the tyranny imposed on them, and to establish within a transitional period methods of collaboration and cooperation to dismantling the economic blockade that have impoverished our 2 nations. And within this period, there will be massive consultations within Ambazonia to ensure that any treaty that will be binding between the 2 nations is approved by the Ambazonian people. This relationship and alliance is critical. Across the globe, nations and peoples and countries are coming together to ensure the prosperity of their people, to ensure the liberation of their people. The Biafrans have been subjected to genocide, ecological hazard, by a few greedy people who have hijacked an entire nation and make sure that they treated the Biafran people with impunity. For the past 60 years, Cameroon rolled its tongues into Ambazonia, subjected our people to economic deprivation, political asphyxiation, cultural intoxication. Those who spoke were murdered. Those who escaped were hunted like games, rendition, and incarcerated incommunicado in the jails of the occupier. For us, the Ambazonian people, we have resolved in the past 4 years to match Cameroon method for method and ideal for ideal, to make sure we arm ourselves to the teeth, to ensure that the brutality that our people have been subjected to in the past 60 years comes to an end, so that we can establish within our own borders economic and political systems that are indigenous to our own cultural and political realities, that our leaders are accountable to our people, that our bounties will be exploited for the development of our people and those who believe in our own values, that our nations will never again, the nation of Biafra and Ambazonia, taken hostage by a few greedy men, our women raped, our children subjected to misery, and our men turned into boys. voice. The era of domination that benefited a few within our continent and beyond its shores, leaving millions destitute, leaving millions moving across the Atlantic, dying in the ocean, must come to an end. We must redefine the contours of the continent. For the notion of Pan-Africanism must be redefined to ensure that self-determination of nations that have been caught under political systems that do not represent their interests becomes the norm. Before there was Nigeria, there was Biafra. You cannot allow yourselves to be taken hostage by a few men who've decided to rape your soils for their own interests. So too are Ambazonians. We don't seek this alliance as an aggression against others. We seek this alliance as a means of self-preservation against tyrannies that have curtailed for both peoples our right to survive within our own shores. We mean no evil to others, for everyone has a right to self-determination, and we are determined to exercise this for ourselves and for our people to ensure we bequeath to the next generation a better country than we inherited. God bless Biafra. God bless Ambazonia.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful speech coming from Dr. Joe Ayaba. I would want to ask just one question, but then I think it would be very, very imperative, to ask two questions. I wanted to ask one that both leaders will address, both of you will address this question, but I want to ask individual question because, this is a historic event. And I want to seize this opportunity to ask these questions. Now, to our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, the Ohamadike one of Biafra, I want to throw this question to you. Maybe not question per se, but let me throw this question this way. Just a few days ago, I came across an article written by New York Times. And this article said, and I quote, more than 1,800 prisoners are broken out of jail in Nigeria. Gunmen bearing machine gun and grenade stormed a prison in a restive part of southeast Nigeria, many refer to as Biafra. Many refer to as Biafra, letting loose any inmate who wanted out. Now, I'm going to also take a line from this same article, which says Biafra in the same New York Times, and that article say it has been 51 years since the end of the Nigeria Civil War, in which people of Eastern region broke away from the rest of the country. Biafra, the state they created, came to an end when its leaders surrendered after 30 months of fighting. Then, but the Biafra dream is alive and well. And when I listen to both of you, I listen to Dr. Joe Ayaba, I see the same agony, the same story, the same kind of experience. I also have come across an article which says that some of the Ambazonian leaders who sought for refuge in Nigeria were arrested secretly and repatriated back to Cameroon against international law. Now, why I made references or try to read from this report is because a lot of people may have somehow a different opinion, divergent views about the historic alliance between Biafra and Ambazonia. I want the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, what assurance are you giving to Biafrans, knowing fully well that New York Times, for the very first time since the beginning of the restoration struggle for Biafra, they are now recognizing Biafra in the east side of Nigeria. Can we hear your opinion on this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Simon. And once again, let me commend my dear brother, Dr. Joe Ayaba, for this event this evening, morning, noon, or night, depending on where you're watching us from. I did say many years ago that a time will come when they will talk about us. And that time has come. And they are talking about us because of what we have been able to exhibit over the years. Consistency, determination, resoluteness, and of course, above all, being ideologically, philosophically, and spiritually consistent in what we are doing. Because the word secession, I do not recognize. The word, should I say, extremism, I do not recognize either. Because as I have always argued, you cannot secede from something that you're older than. The white man came and decided to create Nigeria. Nigeria is not the creation of God. And if we continue along this same line, including my dear brothers and sisters of Ambazonia, then ultimately the world will recognize what we are yearning for and do something about it. If they fail to do something about it, we will do something about it ourselves. Because one thing is certain, when did Cameroons come into existence? You heard our dear brother there, the leader of the war of Ambazonia, telling us that these same Ambazonians are looking at today. At the time they were in Enugu, attending the same Eastern Constitutive Assembly in Enugu. The man you're looking at, Dr. Joe Ayaba, and all Ambazonians at a time had their political representation. It is a very good thing. I saw the map that was displayed when Dr. Ayaba was speaking. Look at it very carefully. You will see that when it came to us, it used to be called the NCNC, National Council of the Cameroon, of National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons. When they say National Council of Nigeria, they were referring to Ambazonia. Ambazonians were part of us in Enugu before. Somehow, the powers that be determined that they should be cut away from us, that we are no longer one people. What gives you recognition is truthfulness. What gives you recognition is consistency. What gives you recognition ultimately is the ability to let your enemies understand that you will sacrifice anything sacrificable to get that which is right for your people. And that is why we are getting a mention in New York Times. As you would say, you did not mention CNN because the same thing happened to CNN, even quoted me for the very first time. I'm not sure they've done that before. CNN quoted what I said regarding the attack of a non-gun, I wouldn't call it an attack, the granting of grace and freedom to people who are illegally incarcerated in Nigeria. And I do hope as time goes on that the same level of consistency and spirit of never say die will go into all ethnic nationalities within Nigeria and beyond that are yearning for freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that insight on that report. Yes, I didn't come across the CNN report yet. I'm going to look into that. Dr. Joe Ayaba, my question, or, I would ask you to make a comment, is on the fact that you have actually elaborated a lot here the dividends, or what I should say, what await the Ambazonian people, through this alliance with the Biafrans. We've also have seen how the Nigeria government illegally repatriated Cameroonians, Ambazonians, back to Cameroon against the international law. And of course, what assurance are you giving people of Ambazonia that the alliance between Ambazonia and Biafra is going to be more fruitful than ever having anything to do with Nigeria, considering the fact that they have breached international laws, repatriated people of Ambazonia back to Cameroon, and today most of them are in jail unconstitutionally?
Thanks for that question. If you look at the map across the globe, whether within the European context, if you look at why there was a Second World War or First World War, you will discover that there are Germans within Switzerland. There are Germans, the Germanic race in Austria. You have the French across in Quebec and in Belgium and different places. And although this is what I call a linguistic kind of unism, these countries have always sought alliances with people with whom they have some cultural attachment for both cultural expansion, economic development, and purposes of self-preservation. And as I stated, the Biafrans are isolated. Ambazonians are isolated. These two nations form an economy of close to 72 million people, put together bigger than the economies of more than 100 United Nations countries. The Ambazonian economy has been sustained from Biafra, where people have had access to cheap goods. We are also aware that more than 20 years ago, Cameroon helicopter gunships bombed boats that were coming in from Biafra, bringing in goods into Ambazonia. We also know that while the Hausas and Fulanis are highly attached in the north to the countries beyond the border of Nigeria like Niger, and strengthening that alliance for both economic and political power, and the Yorubas are attached on the other side with Benin, ensuring their survival and self-preservation. What choice do the people of Biafra have? It's Ambazonia. And so this political alliance is crucial for the purposes of self-preservation of the two nations, and also to let the others who have occupied our both countries know that we will not choose our friends based on the definitions and interests of those who've subjected us to impunity. As you've rightly said, a few years back, hundreds of Ambazonians were illegally kidnapped. Those who are even sought asylum within Nigeria, they were subjected to psychological torture in prisons across Abuja, chained like sheep to the slaughter. In addition to Cameroon, where they were incarcerated, detaining communicado, sentenced to life in jail. This is the collaboration between Yaoundé and Aso Rock. It serves the interests of Yaoundé and Aso Rock. It doesn't serve the interests of Ambazonia. And it has put to shame, it has brought shame to the Biafran people who have shown great hospitality to our people, including ensuring that there is protection for our refugees. Even though the refugees are within the Biafra land, we have observed with great shock attempts by Yaoundé to work with certain political individuals within Nigeria to repatriate our refugees despite the raging war. This collaboration, as I have said, is defined in 3 phases. I will be leading on behalf of the Ambazonian people, working with the people of Biafra and the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra to ensure that in phase 1 of this collaboration, we are able to work together to ensure the self-preservation of both peoples. However, the Biafrans choose to do it with their choice. For us, Ambazonia, the right to self-defense is a right that we have invoked, because the only weapon of choice that Yaoundé and Cameroon has used in 60 years is that of rifles, machine gun. We have risen up, armed ourselves, and we will continue to arm every Ambazonian to make sure that even after independence, there will be no threat to our independence as we saw 60 years ago. And I think it is important that when we establish a free and independent nation beyond our borders, there should be another nation that is free to engage in trade, commerce, dismantling the economic blockade that both countries of Nigeria and Cameroon have imposed. As we move forward, we will be looking at the details to expand the details of our collaboration. And as I know, and as I said in my opening statement, to assure the Ambazonian people, in times of peril, leadership must make decisions that safeguard the interests of the people. There will come a time when the Ambazonian people will be able to certify the instruments of collaboration to be binding to both Ambazonia and Biafra. And that can be invoked under international law as binding to both peoples. I trust my brother Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for his steadfastness, for his ability to galvanize and mobilize the Biafran people. To you, the Biafran people, this is what I'd like you to know. You cannot allow people to invade your land, use your resources to arm themselves and subject you to torture while you escape across borders to establish little niches in different countries. You must rise up in whatever way, form, or shape to defend your right to exist, defend your right in the land of your birth, to exploit your resources for the benefit of your own people, and to make sure you can bequeath to the next generation a better place than you have inherited. A genocide took place in your land. Those people didn't die in vain. In the past few weeks, we have observed with shock and awe helicopter gunships throwing bombs in your suburbs. Those people who have died have not died in vain. And I can assure you, we will establish within the Gulf of Guinea stable political systems that would ensure that our partners beyond our region can trade with us with respect for our independence and to make sure that we can reap the benefit of international trade. What we should never allow again, and I say we, Biafrans, Ambazonians, and all peoples within the continent who are blessed with the bounties that God has given us, is to allow tyrants and murderers to hijack our states and use it as experiments for murder and genocide. That era has come to an end.
Well detailed comment on that question I asked. Thank you very much. Both of you have done so well, and our viewers also thank you for watching. We are going to ask you, both of you, to give somehow a closing statement word of encouragement to both countries, both nations, especially those of our men in the forefront of this struggle. We want you to give word of encouragement. Very brief. We can start from Mohamadike of Biafra.
Yes, thank you, Simon, and once again, thank you, my dear brother, Dr. Cho Ayaba. What I have to say is very simple, is that we have embarked upon a mission and a journey from which there is no turning back until victory is assured. What we can also tell our people today is one thing, that we are not going to stop what we are doing until freedom is secured for all our peoples. It doesn't matter what the enemies do. It doesn't matter what they intend to do. It doesn't matter the sort of collaborations they may enter into. It doesn't matter what form of brutality or any form of brutality they may wish to visit upon us. We are resolved and determined to make sure that we prosecute this very campaign to its glorious end, because in the end we're going to emerge victorious. There are men who are fighting, people who are defending our land against the excesses of Fulani Janjaweedism, those who have come from the Sahel to take over our land. We're not going to allow them to do that. I must encourage them, and also encourage Ambazonian fighters as well in all that they are doing to ensure that the land of Ambazonia is safe. We must not make this very mistake that most people do all the time, to think that help is going to come from somebody else. Nobody's going to help us. We are here to help ourselves, and God willing, we are going to emerge victorious. So I thank all people watching right across the face of this planet Earth today, and especially to this very union of Biafra and Ambazonia, because I do know that in time to come, it will yield positive fruits and results that will help propel both nations towards freedom. And that's why we are here. That is what we are dedicated to doing. And that's what we are going to do every blessed day of our lives until both peoples are free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Hamadike of Biafra. Dr. Cho Ayaba, can you give the men in front line your word of encouragement?
Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank my brother for the courage. Both of us standing here today is out of courage. And I want to thank you very much for having that courage to make sure that we can step out of the cocoon and stick together. To our both peoples, the people of Biafra and Amazonia, I would like you to be assured that in our greatest moments of need, like those of others before us, they've established alliances to ensure their survival. Look back and you find roads and our villages littered with the charred bodies of brave men and women who rose before us to attempt to defend our lands. You look back and it's horror and pain faced by millions of people who have never known happiness, who've never known peace, facing ecological and economic disaster of untold proportions, imposed by others who have sought to occupy our both countries without our consent. Look back and there is genocide and hopelessness. You look forward, there is hope. But you require determination and courage to marshal on and to make sure that we can both be free. Ambazonians must know the tenure of Cameroon in Ambazonia has come to an end. The last chapter of its presence has been written by the blood of our people, and its tyranny and subjugation and impunity and abuse shall never again be tolerated. We will establish going forward friendship with people who have similar experiences and who mean good for us. But we'll also ensure we proudly safeguard and preserve our independence. To you, the people of Biafra, you have to stand firm. The past has been difficult. The present is hopeless. But the future under your present leadership and construct is very hopeful. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This has been now a very successful press briefing. And on this day, the 9th of April 2021, history has been made. Thank you very much, Ohamadike of Biafra. Thank you very much, Dr. Cho Ayaba. And may God bless you. Now, our viewers, we are going to continue, and we are going to have some panelists who are going to join me in the studio, and we are going to make some kind of analysis on the speeches of these both leaders. So our viewers, don't go away. Sit right there and watch as we bring in panelists. And remember that the collaboration and alliance between Biafra and Ambazonia has just started. Most of the thing is not going to be happening on social media. We are not going to be broadcasting as we move forward in this quest for freedom of both nations. For the actions, collaboration as a result of the collaboration, or what you are going to be seeing from now on will tell you what is going behind the scene. The history has been made. And somebody like me and you watching today, we are all happy to be part of this great day that have just started. Thank you, and stay tuned as we come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Ambazonia and Biafra, the national anthem of Ambazonia.
Ambazonia, pledge our loyalty, presence to our Savior, the one of the nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Biafra and Ambazonia, the national anthem of the indigenous people of Biafra.
Land of the rising. Spilling our blood, we'll count our privilege. The that which emboldens the free shall always be our flag of liberty.
Ladies and
Welcome to
gentlemen,
ACN,
citizens of Ambazonia, Biafra, and friends of the world, welcome to the joint press briefing between the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the leader of the Ambazonian Liberation War, Dr. Cho Ayaba.
Welcome to ACN, the Liberation TV of Ambazonia. Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence.
Zobo green, white green. Nzobu. Zobo Nigeria. Nzobu. Zobo Dizu. Nzobu. One yana zobo kango. Sheba kam sheba. Nzobu. Zobo botanjo. Zobo one. Nzobu. Zobo Lutas. All the Lutas. Zobo PDP. Zobo MPC. Zerazawa. Zobo Torah. Zobo Governors. Zobo all of them. Senators. Zobo Han. Zobo Dizu.
There was a nation living in peace and unity. They are people with love and harmony.
We kill them, we come with peace.
The sovereign stretch through his purity.
We shall destroy,
We do
we
not
shall
believe
kill. We are very angry.
at the end heritage trials and oppressive.
They will not have economic chance today. We are coming in few months.
A nation from trigger of Africa, rising with strength and might and power.
IPOB, one family. IPOB, one family. One family. IPOB. This song is specially dedicated to all the Biafrans all over the world. Ahambo Mazi Nnaka Samuel Chinonso Amonyo Bolo Amukwo Bolo nke dị n'isi ala mba no local government nke dị n'Imo State in Biafra land. Ana m eme egwu a ka njikwa ụwa niile na ihe nwanne anyị nwoke mere adịghị m obi mma. Nwanne anyị nwoke Uche Mefọ ihe o mere adịghị m obi mma. Nwanne anyị nwoke anyị na ya so wee na-achụ mmụọ ya wee tụgharịzie esi anyị na anyị na-esi mmụọ mmụọ. What a betrayal! Ka anyị chịkọta n'aka ya ọnụ ụmụ Biafra ka anyị were n'otu obi n'otu ịhụnanya
Biafra nke anyị na-achọ. Ana m ekelekwa onye isi anyị nke bụ Mazi Nnamdi Kanu Ọhamadike, onye nke Chineke họpụtara ka o wee duru anyị n'ala nke Biafra dịka Moses si wee duru ụmụ Israel wee dufee ha n'osimiri uhie. Otu a ka nwanne anyị nwoke a ga-esi wee duru anyị n'ala nke e kwere anyị na nkwa nke bụ ala Biafra. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu jisi ike n'ọlụ. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, ihe na-eme dị anyị mma. Ana m ayọ Chineke nna ka onye kwa gị ogologo ndụ na arụ isi ike na amamihe nke ị ga-eji wee duru anyị n'ala nke e kwere anyị na nkwa. Onye ọbụla nke na-echere gị echiche ọjọọ, onye ahụ ga-eji isi ya wee buru ya. Ka anyị were n'otu obi, anyị ga-enweta ihe anyị na-achọ. Ụmụ Biafra biko anyị jikọta, udo ga-achị. Ụmụ Biafra biko zienụ, udo ga-achị. Ọkwa one family ka anyị ji aga, udo ga-achị. Akwa otu obi ka anyị ji aga, udo ga-achị. Ụmụ Biafra biko ka anyị jikọta, udo ga-achị. Uche Mefo, Sleeping DJ, ugboro ole ka m kpọrọ gị? Ọkwa ihu na otu isi wee wuo onwe gị n'ala. Ọkwa ihu na otu isi wee wụkasị onwe gị n'ala to the extent that everywhere all over the world ọ bụ akụkọ gị ka a na-akọzi. Ebe ọ bụla ị hụrụ mmadụ abụọ ma ọ atọ nọ, ọ bụ akụkọ Uche Mefo ka a na-akọzi. Otu o si wee wuo onwe ya n'ala, otu o si wee disgrace onwe ya, otu o si wee betray ya ndị Biafra. Upon all the trust Mazi Nnamdi Kanu nwere ebe ị nọ, gị si otu a wee wuo onwe gị n'ala, chiri otu a wee disappoint ndị niile na-eso gị n'azụ. Uche Mefo, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu trust chara gị to the extent ọ sị na ọ bụrụ na ịwụ nwaanyị ọ karịa ịlụ gị otu esi alụ nwaanyị. Uche Mefo, onye mere gị ihe ọ gaghị adịrị ya na mma. Ịgbazie life, gị na-akọ ihe sọrọ gị na-akọ ori ihe sọrọ gị na life. Iche na Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ga-atụfuru gị ọnụ. Ị na-achọ ka ọ bịa saa gị okwu, ọ karịgo that level. Silence is the best answer to a fool. You are just making fool of yourself. Uche Mefo, ị ma na ọ bụrụ gị ka etinyere na prison wee kwe gị nkwa niile nke e kwere Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Uche Mefo, ị ga-anara ego chi na akpa dị na-asọ Biafra. Nke ahụ doro m anya na ị ga-anara ego dị na-asọ Biafra. Bọtụlee Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, etinyere ya n'ụlọ mkpọrọ wee kwe ya nkwa niile nke e kwere ya. O nweghị ụdị nkwa na-ekweghị ya ka o wee dị na-asọ Biafra. Ma Mazi Nnamdi Kanu kwurụla chim wee kwụsị ike na Biafra, si that o nweghị ike ịdị na-asụ Biafra. O kwekwere ya before ya baa ime na o nweghị ike ịdị na-asụ Biafra, na o nweghị ike ibitreyi Biafra, bọtụ na ndị Biafra ga-ebitreyi ya. Ihe ahụ o kwuru akwa bịara na mmezu. This betrayal bidoro from 2015 oge ahụ akpọchiri Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This betrayal bidoro from Imam Mezo and Clifford Iruanya and Uche. Ọkwa gị nwa the same Uche Mefo onye fight against it. But lee na leze ihe na-eme onwe gị. Ị werela aka gị wee betray zie that same person na fight gbapọ. Charles Uche Mefo, kedu ihe mere gị ihe a? Ihe otu isi wee wuo onwe gị n'ala. Ihe otu isi wee mebisie aha gị. This nonsense human rights ị gara aga mepe.
We no be forget you, we no go forget you, we no be forget you. Nkigola, we no be forget you, we no be forget you, we no go forget you. Brother Wabi, we no be forget you, we no go forget you, we no be forget you. Grand Joji, we no be forget you, we no be forget you, we no go forget Memory, we no be forget you. We no go forget you. We no be forget you. My Abdul Bello, I no go forget you. I no be forget you. I no go forget you. My brothers and sisters of Kimezum land, we no be forget you. We no go forget you. We no be forget you. Great people of our Kimezum land, we no be forget you. Young men who are there, we no be forget you. We no go forget you. Only the handsome girl. He's the final judge. We no be forget you. To all my brothers in the northwest and southwest, we no be forget you. Accept my condolence. We no be forget you. To God, we no be forget you. The supreme commander, we no go forget you. When he says yes, no man can say. We no be forget you. We no go forget you. We no be forget you. Thank you, Jesus. Sakunyo usako forget you. She came and down a bimbo hoyasu. We no go forget you. We no be forget you. We no go forget you. Oh my brothers, we tears in my eyes. I am crying. We say Jehovah, have mercy, you have mercy, your Lord. We no be forget you. We no be forget you. We no go forget you. But that again, we no be forget you. Kick like we no be forget you. Brother Wabi, we no be forget you. We no say you don't go. We no be forget you. We no say you don't go. We no be forget you. Pretty Alash, we no be forget you. Abdul Bello, we no be forget you. We no say you don't go. We no be forget you. We no say you don't go. We no be forget you. We no be forget you. We no go forget you. We no be forget you. We no be forget you. We no be forget you. We no go forget you.
This is from Biafrans Got Talent. We are letting Biafrans know the reason why we should remember those who gave their life for us, those who died, that we may live.
You died to end my suffering. You died fighting for my freedom. Your blood is the seed of redemption. You are my inspiration.
The deed no wrong for them. Military shots at them. 67 to 70, we remember them. 2016, 38 May, memory still lives in our mind till today. Wonder why they refuse to publicize the genocide. The world media turn blind eyes to our plight. It's time to arise, land of the rising sun. Let's rise one more time, let's rise.
Yo, we will never forget our fallen heroes. Those who gave their life for us. Onitsha massacre, Iwata massacre, Aba massacre. We remember you. Alright.
Tell them I got that day. Remember when me tell you say I got that day. Yeah, I remember that one that called us a Bruce Mero. But me would you go like a Abba Nuku. But them be we boniro. Me tell you what I look pandi, what pandi Samiro. Me tell you what I day. Oh, we just run out the rest of man. I tell you what I do. We know that I'm up. We tell them say what I
want to promise you something today. We must fight together. No retreat and no surrender. We must hold them down till the end of time. The most important thing is that we will restore Biafra. May your soul rest in peace.
And I look up to the sky with tears in my eye. For other Biafrans who for freedom had to die. We will never forget you as the days go by. You are always in my heart. We'll never be apart.
They
heart bleeds when I saw them slain. Where will I be now if not then? They will remain indelible in my heart forever, 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 and ever, and ever, and ever.
We serve in your plantation, and the way you paid us back with your bloody starvation. We play in our history that the death of our people is a mystery. No going back to get to a victory. I had a voice now call for vengeance. I never get bomb, I'm blow like a vengeance.
Yo, we will never forget our fallen heroes. Those who gave their life for us. Onitsha massacre, Iwata massacre, Aba massacre. We remember you. Alright.
Where will I be now? If not you, you died at Mali.
They were starved to death because of our freedom, and they paid the debt for our freedom. Flag high for those that died in the genocide, fighting for you and I. There is pain in my heart, we're bleeding inside, tears in the eyes, so I'm falling here.
This is for my fallen heroes. Keep them on the patient people. It's like I'm looking at myself in the mirror. Cause to be a cast, I need to be a nurse. If we did not retire,
They paid the ultimate price. They died for the freedom of unborn child. We live for the legacy. Yo, we will never forget our fallen heroes. Onitsha massacre, Iwata massacre, Aba massacre. We remember you. Alright. Yo, we will never forget our fallen heroes. Onitsha massacre, Iwata massacre, Aba massacre. We remember you. Alright.
Yeah, put the flag in the air. Never be afraid. March on, cause we are more than conquerors. Yeah, you know what it is.
I'm looking at myself
We
in the
must
mirror.
revenge, and we must stand to represent who we are.
Special greetings to Mazi Nnamdi onye nke so wee tụziere m aka na ihe gbasara egwu a. Ana m asị ka Chukwu okike abịa ma nye gị ogologo ndụ na akụnụba na arụ isi ike. Ise.
This is a clear call to all indigenous people of Biafra in Chukwu Abiyama with the band.
Ekele Chukwu Abiyama, Ekele Chukwu Okike, Ekele Chukwu Biafra. Aile mama, Ekele Chukwu Abiyama, Ekele Chukwu Okike, Ekele Chukwu Biafra. Aile mama.
Egwu mamu kanji bia, asimonye mwere tinoro. Egwu Biafra kan nji wefie asị m onye nwere ntị nụrụ ọnụ ebe n'ebe ka m si eje ebe n'ebe dị n'ụlọ ọka nọt dị n'ụlọ Anambra dịkwa na Biafra land ịgba anyị yo ebe Chukwu kere ka ibiri nụ Biafra land n'ime obodo Chukwu gọziri na gọzi ebe ahụ ka gala ebe Chukwu kere wenye anyị yo Biafra land ya tọgbụgo m anyị nọma n'obodo anyị yo anyị ga-adawa ndị Awụsa ọnụ anyị ga-emenụ ndị Awụsa ịwa maka na ọnụ ma na-eso anyị yo anyị ga-adawa ndị Awụsa ọnụ ịghọtago anyị ga-echukwu Awụsa tigbu Awụsa zọgbu Awụsa tigbu ha zọgbu ha too na anyị ga-echukwu Awụsa tigbu Awụsa zọgbu Awụsa tigbu ha zọgbu ha too na ekene Chukwu abịama ekene Chukwu abịama mo ekene Chukwu okike mee ekene o Chukwu okike mee Chukwu abịama mo Chukwu okike mee ekene otito jejama ya dịrị gị Chukwu abịama Chukwu okike mee anyị na-asị gị mama maka na eto dike na nke o mere eme ike ga-adịghị ime ọzọ ekele onye akịdị na nke ọgwọrọ akwụkwọ onye ọzọ ha ga-etinye jara. We the indigenous people of Biafra, we cannot thank you enough for all you done for us. Anyị na-asị gị mama Biafrans in Malaysia, anyị na-asị gị mama Biafrans all over Asia, anyị na-asị gị mama Biafrans in Europe, asịkwa m kele gị o maka na eto dike na nke o mere eme ike ga-adịghị ime ọzọ. Biafrans in America, asịkwasị m kele gị o Biafrans in Australia, ha na-atụrụ gị mama. Our amiable director Dr. Nnamdi Kanu, onye Chukwu zitere nye Biafra, ọ na-atụrụ gị mama atụrụ gị mama. Mr. Anthony Obilo, ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka atụrụ gị mama. Mr. Anthony Obilo, ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka atụrụ gị mama. Mr. Anthony Obilo, ọ na-atụrụ gị mama maka na eto dike na nke o mere eme ike ga-adịghị ime ọzọ. Ekele dike na nke o mere eme o ike ga-adịghị ime ọzọ. Ekele Chukwu abịama ekele o otito ekele Chukwu abịama ekele o ekele o Chukwu abịama otito ekele o Chukwu Biafra anyị na-enye gị mama. Onye nwere ntị nụrụ ọnụ onye nwere ntị nụrụ ọnụ ụmụ Biafra ka m na-akpọnụ ka anyị natabi odozi obodo anyị obodo ebe Chukwu nyere anyị ebe onye ire anyị ka ebe webiri nọ ụna n'okwu Awụsa n'ime ngịnị ka anyị nata dozi obodo anyị nọ enote